Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.
France's celebrations for the 200th anniversary of Napoleon's death are approaching, and some say the events should be cancelled. But it seems the French Emperor's supporters will push on. NTD's David Vives has more.
Will France's first ever emperor be the next to be cancelled? A New York Times opinion piece called on the French government not to commemorate Napoleon. The author points out that Napoleon restored slavery to the French Caribbean to build his empire. For the president of Napoleon Foundation, Thierry Lenz, this is indeed a well-known fact.
I wrote myself on the question. I am not saying Napoleon was right to do so. He restored slavery for economic reasons at the time and broke a promise that he would not do it.
Lenz says there are several reasons behind that. France was the first nation to abolish slavery, but the French emperor turned over on this decree in the Caribbean, where the situation was more complex. The New York Times piece is not the first to make the call to cancel Napoleon. Other groups in France coming from the far left also pushed the French government not to celebrate the emperor's anniversary. But cancel culture does not have the same momentum in France that it has in the United States.
I'm very surprised about this cancel culture. To see Lincoln statues dismantled, Churchill statues dismantled. I can't imagine that happening in France. I discussed it with universities in the U.S. It seems to me that Napoleon still has a great aura there.
Lenz says it is always good to improve your understanding of history. He agrees that historians need to revise their perspectives as they learn more of the historic truths. He says the calls to ban Napoleon from history books don't come from historians, but from others with an agenda.
This is not about looking for the truth of history. The people asking to cancel Napoleon are not historians. They're activists. They don't want to know about the past. They want to change it or even destroy it. We have to resist.
The celebrations will take place as planned on May 5th. The French president did not say if he would participate in the celebrations. But so far, the public's support for Napoleon looks to be much bigger than the opposition, which indicates it's unlikely he will be cancelled. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
Police officers face more criticism and hostility from millions of Americans and activist groups. But one salon owner is hosting a fundraiser to support them. NTD's Don Tran has the details.
Police officers vow to serve and protect. That means looking out for the people and businesses in their communities, like this hair salon in Chicago. Katie Schickel, the owner of the salon, has lived in Chicago for over 20 years. She hosted a fundraising campaign to show her gratitude to the police officers who keep her and others safe.
So this is my way to give back to them.
In 2020, 15% more Chicago police officers retired than the year before. The same trend happened in other major cities like New York and Minneapolis. In early March, 2 Chicago police officers committed suicide in 1 week. Rob McDonald had a friend who was a police officer. He committed suicide 2 years ago.
There's a level of stress and a level of, an extra layer of difficulty for doing a job that's already difficult.
One police officer and his wife said it has been a very difficult and stressful year for them.
Because when you're working 12 or 19 days in a row without having off, and those days that you're working are 12-hour days, it wears you down, it wears your family down.
You have to pull it together. You have to be supportive and you have to be strong for your husband, who's doing a really hard job and sees a lot of things that people don't see, and I don't think people understand.
Schickel said there's been a lot of negative coverage of police officers and that officers are underappreciated for what they do.
Police, I think that, we need to counteract that with positiveness and an appreciation and gratitude for the job that they do every day for all of us.
The donations proceeds will all go to the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation to purchase new bulletproof vests for Chicago Police Department officers. Don Tran, NTD News.
Major U.S. cities are getting more congested, according to a global ranking. Some cities rank even higher than before. Experts say the pandemic might have had something to do with it. NTD's Don Tran reports.
In 2020, some of the biggest American cities made it to the top in the country and the world when it comes to traffic congestion. New York City specifically rose from 4th to 1st place, which means more time sitting in traffic and more hours wasted. Analytics firm INRIX found that New York City drivers lost 100 hours to traffic congestions last year, and one of the city's roads was the second most congested in the country. A professor at Northwestern University said traffic congestion increased in New York City because of the pandemic.
People got off of transit because of fear of spreading COVID-19, and then as opportunities came to get into the city and get back to work, those that could, more of them chose the car than had been using the car before.
Coming in second place is Philadelphia. Drivers there lost an average of 94 hours in traffic last year. Some people in Philadelphia are surprised and even skeptical that their city was at the top of the list.
I thought there would be other countries before that, or other cities even. But I guess it is what it is, and maybe it depends on how it was measured.
I'm from India, and Indian cities are very overcrowded. So I thought the traffic pattern in India is much worse than here. So I'm really surprised that Philadelphia ranks so high.
I see traffic moving fine. You know, it's other problems besides this.
The report also found that traffic jams cost the everyday Philadelphian over $1,000. A professor at the University of Alberta gave a few suggestions to reduce traffic jams.
In some cities where you've got the capacity, building infrastructure to put in more lanes, do bypasses and so on, that helps a lot, although it's very expensive. In places like New York where you're really quite constrained, basically it's getting people onto transit or getting people to simply not travel.
Some of the people in Philadelphia said that traffic congestion isn't the real problem. They said the real problem is the filthy conditions and the abuse of drugs in public transit systems. Don Tran, NTD News.
Hi, we're happy to announce that you can also catch us on cable TV now. Millions of households already choose us as one of their trusted news sources, and you can too. You can watch us in Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York, and many other cities as well. And if your system doesn't carry NTD yet, you can just give them a quick call and request NTD on your cable provider. Thank you for watching. See you next time.